So to get started, let's just start with some nice opening stretches. Find yourself in any shape. I'm in my Sukhasana, my easy pose, crisscross applesauce. Let your shoulders roll back and down. Maybe allow your eyes to close if you feel like that's appropriate for your environment. And then just take a nice big in breath through the nose if possible, and then out through the mouth. Sigh out everything you don't need here for this class. We'll take one more open mouth sigh, just like that. Inhale all the way in, and then exhale, release everything out. Big open mouth sigh. So keeping the eyes closed if it feels good to you, bring the hands in front of you, interlace the fingers, turn the palms away, and create a nice big basket with the arms. Push the arms away, tuck the chin, and exhale nice and long as you create a nice big stretch across the upper back. And then as we inhale, we're going to lift the arms all the way up towards the sky. Maybe they don't go all the way up just yet. Maybe they just go about halfway up. You can look up towards the sky, and then as you exhale, round and push away. Hollow out through the belly. Inhale to lift, and then exhale to round. On this last one, you can release the fingers if it helps. Go ahead and lift the arms all the way up, or your version of all the way up. Maybe pull biceps back by ears, bending the elbows somewhat, open the heart towards the sky, and then bring your opposite hand to knee. So we're going to turn and look over our left shoulder. Right hand comes to the knee, look out over the back shoulder. If you're feeling kind of stretchy already this morning, you might take that bind around the lower back with the left arm grabbing onto the right hip crease. Take a breath here, take a moment, just pause. And then go ahead and release. We're coming all the way back up through center. This time maybe creating what we call Kali Mudra. It's that all the fingers are interlaced. We called it steeple hands when we were kids, right? And the index and thumb are releasing, pointing towards the sky. And then as we exhale, let's turn and look out the other way, taking the stretch to the other side. So left hand, right knee, and then right arm either behind you to prop you up or scooping around the lower back. Look out over the right shoulder. Take a nice big in breath. And as you breathe out, maybe twist a little deeper into this shape. One more breath. Find length through the spine. Maybe tuck the tailbone slightly and lift up. And then exhale, come all the way back through center. Let's go ahead and switch the orientation of the legs. So just putting the opposite leg on top or in front so that we can become more symmetrical through our day. And from here, we're going to take the fingers, tent them up into spider fingers, and then just walk them forward as you find your version of a hinge here. So maybe not all the way forward, maybe just kind of working into it. You want to really press that seat down as you tuck your chin in towards your collarbone. Let the head be heavy. So starting to work into an even breath pattern here as we hold these shapes a little bit longer. I want you to use your breath to kind of play around with the edges of the pose. So feathering what your version of the stretch might be. So maybe you inhale and find length through the shoulders, length through the spine. And as you exhale, you might bring your body closer to the legs. Again, let the head be nice and heavy here. And this is the type of class you can do most of it with your eyes closed. Unless you don't feel secure doing that, then you can open them at any time. Maybe you come in and out, just sinking deeper into each shape. And then let's go ahead and walk the hands all the way back. Let's open up the neck a little bit. So bringing your right shoulder, bringing the hand to the top of the head. I love this stretch. It really opens up through the whole side of the neck. Reach the arm nice and long. So your right arm is reaching, your left arm is on top of your head. Or whatever makes sense for you. If this is not enough, you can wrap that extended arm around and tuck it. And then that really opens up through this whole arm. And then releasing, going right to the other side. So just tilting right ear, right shoulder, right hand top of the head, left arm reaches super duper long. Maybe taking that bind. Taking a couple breaths in each shape, just to settle in and give your body a moment to wake up. And then go ahead and release and give it a nice shake out. So let's take a few rolls of the neck. However it feels good for you, maybe just a nice big circle. Don't worry about those little crunchies. That just means that you're awakening into all this spinal fluid there. If it feels good to wrap your head all the way around and back, you can do that. Otherwise, just going kind of side to side. And then from here, we're going to actually find your way onto your knees. So in what we call hero shape, and I'm going to turn sideways just so that you can see what I'm doing here. So my knees are on the ground, I'm on my shins, and I'm actually tucking my toes underneath so that I can warm up into the feet. So this is a very intense pose for most of us, myself included. I actually just finished a run right before, so this actually is quite torture to me. So sit on your heels if that feels good. I know I said I wasn't going to use any props, but if this is really intense, you can sit on a block underneath you to give yourself a little bit of extra if you wanted to do that. So as we find our way into this shape, come out of it anytime you need to, but let's go ahead and create that nice interlacing of the fingers one more time and round through the back. This time really tuck the tailbone, tuck the chin. I promise we're not going to be here too long. It feels like an eternity though. Press away from the upper back. Really focus on stretching between the shoulder blades. And then inhale, lift all the way up. This time bring the hands around behind, interlace behind you, and squeeze the shoulder blades together as you look up. And then go ahead and release. Bring the hands down to the mat and take those toes, release them, and give them a nice tap on the floor. So just working them out. And we're going to sit back down into this hero shape. So this is a really great place to work into the arms and shoulders. Turn a little bit so that you can see. Sitting on this, we're stretching out our quads and the ankles, something we don't really think about. So we're going to actually just bring that left arm all the way up and sweep it around behind. So you might have a catch here as you reach behind. It's okay, just kind of work with it. We're just making a big circle up and around and behind, taking about 3 of them. And then on this next one, on number 4, as you bring the arms up and around, go ahead and make a cactus arm. So just one arm open up. And this feels good if you're doing any kind of strength training at home. But we're using the force of our muscle and not anything else to really open up and peel open this whole side of the body here. And look out over that back shoulder. And then try to breathe into it. You can use that other hand on the outside of the thigh as you look out behind you. A nice stretch here. And then release. And then let's reach down into a child's pose here. So walking the hands all the way forward, taking a little bit of the pressure out of the legs and the ankles. Tuck the forehead down to the mat. Reach the arms nice and long. Stay up on these spider fingers or these really long fingers here. And keep that space between the shoulder blades. Take about 3 rounds of breath here. So don't worry about your to-do list. Don't worry about anything that's going on around you. Just take your time here. Melt over this shape. Let's go ahead and open up into the other side. Start to walk your fingers back, finding your way back to that hero shape. Again, if this doesn't feel good, you could always sit in another way, maybe crisscross applesauce. Take those big shoulder opening stretches. Reach the right arm all the way up and open and back. The palm is facing away from you the whole time, so you're kind of spinning your arm as you reach up. And then turn that hand away and out. So like you're tracing a big clock. And back. And then on this last one, you're going to create that cactus arm. So making that 90-degree angle, opening up, elbow peels back and away. It's as if you're pressing against a wall. And if you were against a wall, that whole front side of your body would be pressing. You can bring the opposite hand to the knee, sit up nice and tall and look over the back shoulder. Might get a few snap, crackle, pops here. And then whichever way you want to look with the arm or with the head, whatever gets you the biggest stretch here. Nice. And then go ahead and release all the way down. Let's take it back into that child's pose. One more breath. So creeping those hands forward, reaching out, finding a nice big stretch, tucking the chin. Let's go ahead and plant the hands. So your hands are about shoulder width here. If you've crept forward on your mat like I have, you can slide it back. Curl those toes under one more time. And we're going to work into a crouching downward facing dog. So using your hands, gripping into the mat with the fingertips, start to float the knees off the mat and sit back. So we call this tiger crouch. And then as you work into it, you can push the heels down towards the mat, maybe bending into one foot or one heel and then the other. So we're really just systematically opening up a little bit at a time here. So if you want to keep the knees bent, maybe swivel the hips a little side to side, whatever feels good for you here, just to play around with it. And your vision, your drishti, your point of focus should be between the thighs behind you. Take a look up at the hands and then start to walk your feet about the midway up your mat. So we're coming about halfway, and then walk the hands the halfway that you need to go back to meet the body. So the hands are right in front of the feet, bend the knees and melt over the legs. So the thing I miss the most from my 20s is being able to reach down and just touch my toes without thinking about it. I miss the ability to just do things without thinking I am a gazillion years old. And then let's go ahead and sink down. So this is very individual, this shape. You're going to sink down as far as you can before you start to lift the heels. And then when you can't possibly go any further, when your calves are just telling you, nope, that's not going to work, start to lift the heels up off the mat and sit down into this crouch here. Knees are together, fingers can be on the floor. If you want to work into your core a little bit and get a little workout here, you can lift the fingers. Otherwise, leave them on the mat. We're going to go between that forward fold and this crouch about 3 times. So go ahead and place the hands down, press the heels as you sit back, keep the knees bent. The body is glued to the thighs as you fold forward. And then exhale, sit down, lift the heels when you need to, come all the way back into this crouch. As you start to open up, as we move through this exhale to fold, you might start to move a little bit more dynamically here, any way that feels good. And then sit down. And then we're going to hold on this last forward fold. So find your way up and back, rock back into the heels as you find this forward fold, and then heel toe your feet so that they're about hip width now. So just about 2 hands widths between you. Grab opposite elbows and let the weight of the upper body create a nice stretch up the back side of the lower body. Maybe ragdoll a little bit. Let the body just sway from side to side. And then bring those fingertips down to the mat. Find a half lift here. So fingers are on the mat and zip up your belly. Create this nice long line from shoulders to hips. Try not to lock into those knees. Keep a little micro bend. And then sweep the arms nice and wide as we reach all the way up. Inhale to lift. Stack the shoulders right over the hips. Maybe creating that Kali Mudra. Interlacing the fingers. Look up. Take a nice tiny back bend here. And then exhale all the way back down into that forward fold. Last one, reach all the way up. Probably not the last one all morning. Last one right now. Good. Interlace the fingers. Let's take a half moon stretch over towards your left. So kick your hips out towards the right. And then inhale all the way up and over. Kick your hips out towards the left. Back up through center. Maybe take a nice back bend here. Hips go forward. And then releasing the hands, sweeping them all the way down as we forward fold back to the mat. Melt over the legs. Inhale, half lift. We're going to step back with our left foot. Keep that right foot forward, coming into a low lunge. So just dropping that left knee to the mat. The further back you go, the deeper the stretch is going to be in that back leg. But you want to make sure that that front knee still stays stacked right over that front ankle. Reach the arms all the way up towards the sky if that works for you. And then sink nice and low into the shape. Your back toe can stay on the mat or it can release down to the mat. It's up to you. Look up. Maybe pressing palms together if that feels good. Nice. And then exhale, we're bringing our left hand to the right knee. Right hand looks behind. This should feel familiar. We've done this before. And look out over that right shoulder. Make sure that right knee doesn't pop out. Perfect. Both hands come down either side of that front foot. Curl the toes under on the back foot. Lift the knee off the mat. And just slide that foot forward about maybe 3 inches so that you can fold over a straight front leg. So this leg is straight, your hips are square, and we're just going to melt down over that leg, getting a nice big stretch up the back side. Head is heavy. Keep pressing that back heel. That left heel presses down into the mat. That'll really open up through the calf. So you're getting the upper leg on the upper back leg on the front leg and the lower back of the leg on the back leg. It's a lot of fronts and backs, ups and downs. Keep pulling that left hip forward or that back hip forward. And then go ahead and walk the hands towards the long way on your mat, coming to a wide-legged forward fold. So I prefer my toes to be slightly in for this shape, so a little bit in, but if you like them to be parallel to the edges of the mat, you can certainly do that. And we're going to take maybe a deeper fold here, so you might bring your forearms to the mat. If it's really early for you, you can just stay right here. That's quite all right. Otherwise, you can come all the way down and press palms together and let the head drop. Again, you want to be careful not to hyperextend those knees. So keeping a little micro bend here. Taking about 2 more breaths here. Pull the inner thighs up by reaching the arches up as you press your weight into the pinky toe side of the foot, the blade of the foot, we call that. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Find that nice half lift again. Maybe bring your toes a little bit closer, or your feet a little bit closer to each other. Left hand stays down, right hand is going to reach up. Take a nice twist. I love to twist in the morning. I feel like it wrings out everything over the course of the night. Right hand comes down, left hand reaches up. Left hand comes down. Let's continue our travels towards what is now the back of your mat. We're on the other leg. So the right knee comes down, the left leg is forward. We're going to reach all the way up, maybe taking that Kali Mudra again, interlacing the fingers, releasing the index and crossing the thumbs. Pulling the arms back. Nice big breath. Lead with your heart here. Engage your belly. Enjoy this stretch. And then bring that right hand down to the left knee. Left hand reaches behind you. Work into your breath here. It's little tiny sips of air in a twist instead of big deep breath. Keep that left leg stacked. Look out behind you. And then we're going to find that forward fold again. Both hands come down. Peel the right knee off the mat. Slide the right foot forward and out slightly, so much so that you can get the heel to the mat. Straighten the left leg. Find a flat back here. So that might mean that you bring your fingers to your shin to find this flat back. Bring that right hip forward and then melt down over the left leg. Just find a nice stretch here. So you can play around with this. You might wiggle around side to side or swivel the hips a little bit. Play around with how high or how low you go. You're really targeting the backs of the legs. So if you can find a shape that feels better, go ahead and take it. Find that half lift. Peel the heels off the mat as we walk back to the long edge of our mat. Find that forward fold one more time. Your toes are facing forward, and then we're just going to walk down. Maybe if you're super stretchy, you can turn your fingers behind you and walk the hands behind. If you're not really there today, you don't have to be. The hands can stay right underneath the shoulders, or you can find something in the middle. You can play around with how wide your legs go. Again, the more you press onto the blades of the feet, the more stable you're going to feel. Walking the hands underneath the shoulders. Let's take that twist one more time. So your right hand is going to stay down and your left hand is going to reach up. Nice, maybe a little bigger this time. Left hand comes down, right hand reaches up. Both hands come down, and we're working our way back towards our original front of the mat. Find your way into a tabletop shape, hands and knees. So from this hands and knees shape, you're going to bring your heels up towards your seat and really pull them in so your heels come way towards your butt, and then drop your belly, lift your heart. So if you'd rather do a regular cat-cow, you absolutely can. This is just a little bit more stretching. And then as we exhale, we're going to curl the toes, bring them back down to the mat, hollow out the belly, tuck the tailbone, and float the knees off the mat. Inhale, drop the knees, lift the heels, drop the belly. So a lot going on there. Look up, and then curl the toes, lift the knees, round through the upper back. And then last one, bring the heels in, look up. Toes come down, and then round through the back, float the knees. And then lower the knees back down onto the mat. And we're coming all the way down onto our back. Man, this class goes fast. So we're coming all the way onto your back. Bring your knees with you and take that nice Apanasana hug, rocking from side to side. Let's go ahead and bring the right foot to the mat and extend the left foot to the mat. Right leg reaches up towards the sky. I can't even get it right when I'm on my own. And then from here, we're going to work through the ankles. So systematically, right? So pushing the foot away from you, spread the toes nice and wide, float those toes, and then point the toes, keep the toes away from you, and then flex the foot, push the heel towards the sky. So push away, floint, spread the toes, point the toes, and then bring them back. So that probably really opens up your calf muscles, gastrocnemius. Point, floint, and then bring it back. And then let's just take those into some circles. Nice. So you can keep this left foot exactly where it is. And we're going to take these ankle circles and turn them into a circle from the hip. So you can point the toe if you want on that right foot, and then just make a little circle on the ceiling. And then make it a little bit bigger. So we're not trying to wind up a helicopter here. We're just going nice and slow and exploring the range of motion, looking for, as we get bigger and bigger with the circle, looking for how the rest of the body reacts to this. Are you lifting the hip up as you start to work out, or are you pulling this all into your core? Can you extend that left leg long? Maybe as you create a bigger circle. Trying to keep the body itself pretty straight. Nice. And then let's go back the other way. So keeping the circles big to start with, nice big circle, or relatively big for you. And then make it smaller and smaller as we work into making it really tiny, teeny tiny little circles. Nice. And then go ahead and grab onto that right leg and draw it across the body, finding a twist. Right arm reaches out towards the right. Look out over the right shoulder. If you want more, you can make that cactus arm like we did at the beginning. Hopefully you didn't have breakfast before this. Otherwise, this twist is not your friend. Go ahead and gather up that knee, unwind, unravel. Let's try all of that on the other side. So right foot comes to the mat. Extend that left leg up towards the sky. And first we floint. So push away, ball of the foot, spread the toes wide. Then point, then flex. Floint, point, flex. Floint, point, flex. Floint, point, flex. Nice. Now make it those little bitty circles. You kind of know where you're going now. So now moving slowly, it's not a race. Making those circles a little bit bigger. Now they come from the hip, not the ankle. And then maybe observing differences from side to side. Maybe if you're like me, one side takes a lot more brain power. Go a little bit bigger. So notice, like I said, maybe you start to really open up. Perhaps you're noticing that there's a bit of a challenge as you get wider and wider in this circle. That's okay. Nothing to be critical of, just an observation. And then going back the other way. Still keeping those circles nice and big, moving fairly slowly. And then getting slower and smaller and tiny until it comes back to the ankle. And then gathering that left leg up and taking it into the twist out towards the right. Looking out over your left shoulder. Again, observing differences, not judging differences, just noticing. Perhaps one side is way more tight than the other. That's all right. I had a teacher once who told me that if you notice that you're tight on one side more than the other, start with that side and do it twice. So if your left side is really a challenge, you would do left, right, left, or alternately right, left, right, if your right was more challenging. And then go ahead and unwind, unravel. Scoop those knees back into the heart space. Rock a little side to side. And then start to work your left leg down the length of the mat. The right leg down the length of your mat. Let your arms come by your side. Palms are up, shoulders are down. Before we melt completely into this resting shape, I want you to work on your breath. So keeping your hands by your side, breathe all the way in through the nose, filling all the way up into the torso. So as big a breath as you can possibly take, and hold at the top. And then through the nose, little tiny sips, like just letting it seep out through your nose, little bits at a time, squeezing from the belly. And then inhale all the way in through the nose. And seeing how long and how slow you can make that exhale. Now on this one, as you breathe all the way in, I want you to fill up with that nice big energy, filling up your whole body. And then as you exhale, imagine your body is relaxing from the head all the way down as you work through this whole out breath. Shoulders are soft, torso is heavy, hips are melting into the mat, legs are heavy and open, feet splay out to the side. And now just let your breath come as it will. No controlling it, just let it be. Let yourself be breathed here. Allow the eyes to close if they're not already. And bring all of your awareness to the breath. As you melt into the shape, if you come up against any tension, spend some time there and just work through it. Breathe into it, lean into it, until you're able to relax that area and move on to the next. Begin to bring movement to fingers and toes. Turn your head, look over your right shoulder. And then sweep your head towards the left shoulder. Bring your head back to neutral. start to add any kind of movement that feels intuitive here. So maybe bringing the feet to the mat, rocking the knees side to side. Perhaps reaching the arms overhead for a big stretch. Turning towards right side or left and pausing there. Letting your head rest on your arm. Coming back to your breath. Using your arms to help you, finding your way towards any seat that feels good. To sit as we seal our practice with a nice guided meditation here. You can allow the eyes to stay closed. Maybe sitting up on a block if that feels better to you. If you don't have a block, you could use a pillow. Go ahead and bring your right hand to your heart, your left hand to your belly. Keeping your chin tucked. Just observe the breath here. We're going to begin a little bit of technique breath here. On your next inhale, inhale about 1/3 of the way full. And then pause. Then inhale another 1/3, so now 2/3 full. And pause. And then finally breathe all the way in, filling up into the torso, into the whole heart space. Pause at the top. And then slowly exhale, open mouth, sigh it out. We're going to continue that technique a few rounds just to get the feeling of it. First in breath, 1/3 of the way. So imagine it comes just about to the belly button. Then 1/3 of the way, so 2/3, just about to the lungs, just under the heart. And then finally filling up as much as you can, sitting up nice and tall to create that extra space. And then exhaling, either open mouth sigh or closed mouth exhale. Keep going on your own cadence. Inhaling 1/3 and pause. 2/3 and pause. And finally, all the way, making sure to pause at the top. And then exhaling all the way. A few more rounds. If you start to feel lightheaded, you can let the technique go. Last round here. When you complete your exhale, go ahead and allow your eyes to open for a moment. We're going to work into a hand mudra. Mudras are energy seals or locks. And the one we're going to do today is kind of my favorite for right now. I've been teaching this one a lot this week. This is called the Ganesha or the snag. And it's meant to be used when life hits a snag, which I think we would all agree is right now for most of us. So you're going to take your left hand and you're going to place it just in front of your body with the thumb pointing down and the palm out, and then bring the right hand and in front, and then you're going to just make those little All-State hands or United Way, or I can never remember that, and then just hook the fingers, so creating a snag, and then use your thumbs to seal the top and the bottom, and then elbows splay out to the side and shoulders relax. So it's said that what your hands do is a reflection of what your heart is doing. And this makes sense when you think about all the things we're not supposed to be doing right now. When you reach out to shake somebody's hand, you're feeling that you're looking for that connection. When you're high-fiving somebody, you're happy, your heart is doing that. When you're in traffic and somebody cuts you off, what happens there? So your heart and your hands are pretty well connected. So this seal, think of it like a magnifier of your heart. And it's right in front of your heart. And it's thought to accentuate the feelings of perseverance and dedication to whatever your heart's desire is, to getting through this snag or whatever you might have going on in your life, these obstacles. And it amplifies the energy of your inner heart's desire. So as you sit here with this mudra, we're going to take 5 breaths here. So just allow the thoughts to come up as they will. Try not to control the narrative. When a thought comes into the front of your mind, just acknowledge it and encourage it to move on. Imagine that you are freeing that thought by giving it awareness, giving it the attention it deserves, and letting it be free. As many thoughts as arise in the forefront of your consciousness, you can let those go. And then go ahead and let your mudra go. Let your hands come back down to your lap. Take a big in-breath and notice how free you feel at this moment, a lightness. And then exhale and settle into this feeling. Taking this lighthearted feeling with you throughout the rest of your day. If you feel that you are overwhelmed or frustrated with a snag in your day, you have your mudra. And since we're all kind of on our own, nobody will see you if you just put the phone on speaker and take your little mudra. And know that you have the ability to feel exactly how you feel now as often as you need to. Some simple movement, some breath work, and you can come right back to this place. Bringing hands to heart center if you choose, maybe bowing your head if you like. Thank you so much for joining me on the mat this morning from our social distancing caves. Have a fabulous rest of your week. Perhaps I will see you tomorrow. Namaste.